Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today, we're going to be taking a first look at the upcoming AYANEO Flip 1S DS. This is a brand new dual screen offering from the company, and on paper, this thing should also be packing some serious performance. But the main thing here are these dual screens. Up top, we've got a 7-inch 144Hz OLED display, and on the bottom, they did opt for an IPS. It's coming in at 4.5 inches, and it's actually a 3:2 aspect ratio. AYANEO is going to be offering a couple different color variants, and there's actually two different CPU options. You can go with the lower end 8840U, but if you want to get the best performance, I would definitely go with the HX370. They're offering a black version, a yellow, and what I've got here is the retro power version. I love the gold top. I think it looks really good. And surprisingly enough, I mean, it's actually a pretty comfortable handheld. Got that 7-inch 144Hz OLED up top, and it looks great. Unfortunately, it doesn't support VRR. But from the display settings, you can do 60, 90, 120, or 144. Down below, we've got that 4.5-inch 3:2 aspect ratio display. Both of these are touch, and as you can see, I mean, we've got some information on the bottom, but we can swap these out. We could run dual apps, or you could just use the top or the bottom all by itself. It's really up to you. Taking a look around the unit, obviously, we've got our shoulder buttons, our linear triggers. We also have some programmable buttons up top here, a micro SD card slot, and dual USB 4 ports. Up front, not a ton going on, but we do have a 3.5mm audio jack and our dual stereo speakers. So these are going to be frontward firing speakers on this unit. Around back, we do have replaceable grips and it comes with two different sets. And obviously, we've got our intake vent here for that Ryzen APU. When it comes to the built-in controls and sticks, AYANEO actually opted to use medium-sized TMR sticks here, so they're not Hall-based, but the triggers around back are Hall-based linear triggers, and all of the face buttons here are membrane micro switch buttons. They increase the size of the ABXY just by a bit here, so they're not super tiny, really easy to reach, and it feels great with what they've got here. That new membrane they're using is pretty nice. Obviously, sticks here are recessed, and the D-pad is a little lower than I'd like, but I completely understand what they needed to do here because we've got that flip-top screen. It needed to be able to close flush. AYANEO also added an optical mouse, and it's really smooth. I didn't even have to go into the settings and change the sensitivity on it. Works out pretty well, but of course you could go in and change that sensitivity. And for easy login, we've got a fingerprint sensor / power button right here. AYANEO has their Indiegogo up and running right now, and with this unit, there's two APU options. You can go with that 8840U, but like I mentioned, we've got the more powerful AMD Ryzen Ai HX370. 12 cores, 24 threads, up to 5.1 gigahertz. We've got that Radeon 890M iGPU. It's based on RDNA 3.5 with 16 compute units. They're offering this with either 16, 32, or 64 gigabytes of RAM, up to 7,500 megatransfers per second, either 1 or 2 terabytes of storage out of the box, and it utilizes a PCIe 4.0 2230 M.2 SSD. We've got that 144 Hz 7-inch OLED display up top with a resolution of 1920 by 1080, 150% sRGB up to 800 nits of brightness. Bottom screen is a 4.5-inch IPS with an aspect ratio of 3:2. It's got a resolution of 1620 by 1080, so we've got a pretty decent resolution here given the screen size. But I'd say one of the downsides to this is the battery size. And of course, they needed to keep this thing pretty small given that, it's a handheld with a flip screen, only a 45 watt hour battery. And given that we've got that HX370 and dual screens, not exactly sure how much runtime we can get out of this, but by the end, we will take a quick look. So obviously, with the AYANEO Flip 1S DS, there's a lot to cover here. In this video, I kind of want to go over the basics. I will have another video coming up in the next couple days, so keep an eye out. But first things first, secondary screen. As you can see, this is going to be the main claim to fame for this unit. We can disable it and change the brightness at any given time directly from here. We want to turn it off. It's going to save battery. Obviously, having two screens going is going to burn a little more. We can bring it right back up using this button here. And on the main menu, this is our performance monitor. So while we're playing a game, this will actually show our FPS, our TDP, fan speed, all that good stuff. We've got our RAM and storage. We can also go through and change the power profile from here. Extreme, balanced, saving power, or power saving. Moving to performance, Again, we've got our saving power. We can go right to balance, which is going to be 15. That saving power is an 8-watt TDP out of the box, and extreme is going to bring it up to 28. But across the board, we can change this. So with balanced, if we go down to the bottom, you can see that our CPU turbo is not enabled, but once we go to extreme, it's going to turn it on for us. If you want to create your own profile, pretty easy to do from ISpace itself. You can create a new one here, and you can adjust everything from the CPU clock, GPU clock. You can enable or disable the turbo from here, fan speed, power policy, and it's got an FPS limiter. Heading back down, Quick Assistant. So you can see we can disable Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. We can get right back into Windows. We've got a dedicated escape key right here. Moving down, airplane mode, screenshot, FSR, small screen switch, multitasking. Really nice, just super easy, quick access tiles that we can use. Application, we can add different applications directly from here to show on the secondary screen, or vice versa. We can swap between. Smart dual screen. This is pretty cool because, swapping between screens on some devices can be a bit cumbersome, but with this, it makes it really easy. Actually, doesn't matter what's up and running. Even something like our control panel, you can see right here. Now we've got it down on the secondary screen. Open up 2 instances on accident. We've still got the little menu at the bottom, so we can press this. It'll go full screen for us. And with a 3:2 aspect ratio, it's great for retro gaming. So yeah, with this new AYANEO software on this unit, does make it really easy to navigate your full operating system from here. Another great thing they've added here, on-screen keyboard. So we've got a keyboard right here. We can bring this up at any given time. And if you wanted a touchpad, we've got it right there ready to go. Do love having this here, and of course we can bring it up on screen anytime, but having that bottom screen keyboard just makes it really easy to access it. From iSpace, we do have a game launcher. This is going to scan through our default directories. It's going to download some artwork for us. So for instance, Rivals, right here, got a nice little background. And there's a couple more options in here. We can either hide the game completely or delete it from the system. Heading over to our smart control, all of the keys, all of the buttons, touch screen, gyro, joysticks, everything can be customized from here. There's a lot in here, and that'll be in my next video. You can set up an AYANEO account if you want to. Again, performance, create your own profiles. And personally, I like an 18-watt profile without and with turbo boost. Monitor. This would come in really handy for people that just don't want to set up something like Afterburner. So you can go with a single over on the side there, and it's just going to give us the performance metrics. But remember, while we're playing a game, it's also going to display down here as long as we have this screen enabled, and it will show our FPS while we're playing a game. And if you just want to use a quick menu to access all of this, press that AYANEO button once. We've got our performance, controller settings, and gyro settings right here, so you can do this at any time. So yeah, I do think that they've come up with some really good software for this unit here, and I think that's exactly what they needed for a dual screen handheld. And speaking of those dual screens, there's quite a lot that we could do here. Now, obviously, one of the first things somebody would think of is like 3DS or DS emulation. Unfortunately, I can't show off 3DS emulation due to everything that's going on with YouTube right now. But one thing that I've actually been doing, since we've got that 3:2 aspect ratio display down here, running RetroArch on that with emulators that support this kind of aspect ratio. I've got GBA, and up on the big screen, I could run a YouTube video. I could have another game running if I wanted to. Basically, this is just set up like 2 monitors connected to a Windows PC. You could mirror the screen if you wanted to, or you could run dual apps. It's up to you. But I'll tell you, one thing that I've actually been doing quite a bit on this is DS emulation. So I've got this set up with Melon DS. We've got both screens running independently of each other. We've got it set up just like a real DS would be. Touch screen working down here on the bottom. Top screen is also touch, but we don't need it here with these games. And again, if you wanted to go with 3DS, you could have a lot of fun with this. This HX370 is more than enough to run those games at full speed, even with a nice upscale on both screens. And I'll tell you, if you're only going to pick one of these up for emulation, the 8840U version is probably the way to go. It's going to offer more than enough for the emulators we want to run here. But if you do opt for the HX 370 version, you can get some really good PC gaming out of the way also. So I've been messing around with this unit for about 48 hours, and it is pretty comfortable. I like what they've done here with the round edges on the bottom. These medium-sized TMR sticks are awesome for any kind of game. Hull-based linear triggers. We've got some decent throw, and these are great for racing games. Just give it a little bit of gas. I mean, I can set this up for launch control, no problem at all. What I've got here is Forza Horizon 5. We're at 1080 medium, no FSR. We don't need it with this chip, and we're at an 18-watt TDP. Bottom screen is set up with the performance monitor so we can see what's going on. Plus I've got Afterburner up in the top left-hand corner of the main screen. And you can see we're averaging over 90 FPS with this game, 1080 medium at an 18-watt TDP. And this chip will run this at high settings, 18 watts. You're going to see an average in the low 70s with it, but it's still really playable. And there's more that we can get out of this. In fact, from ISpace, we can go up to a 30-watt TDP. Now, 28 is set for that extreme performance mode, and I'd say 28 running games that are just harder to run on these APUs is kind of the way to go. But we've only got a 45 watt-hour battery here, so that's something to keep in mind. Next one we have here is Cyberpunk 2077. I've taken the TDP up to 25 watts here. We're at 1080 medium settings with FSR set to balance. Not bad. We're over 60, but there are some dips. And if you wanted to use FSR frame gen, this HX 370 does handle it quite well, especially at this kind of wattage here. With frame gen on, you can actually take this down to around a 20 watt TDP and get 80 FPS on average with it. But it will be making some fake frames. I mean, that's what frame gen's all about. It does help out on these APUs, so it's really up to you. Another thing we could do is drop the resolution down. We've got a 7-inch display, and even at 900p, this game looks great at medium. Setting it down, just going stationary with it, using an Xbox controller connected over Bluetooth, Marvel Rivals, 720p low. It's weird because this game doesn't have a 900p mode, and I do believe that at 900p, we'd still see some pretty decent performance here. But it's either, really high resolution, 1080, given that our screen is a 1080p display, or 720. Checking out Spider-Man 2 1080p medium FSR frame gen turned on. That's how we need to run this if we want to get over 60 with it. This chip at around 25 watts, even at 720p, will still dip under. The game is not a very well optimized game. I think they kind of messed up with this one because the first Spider-Man and Miles Morales run amazingly. Borderlands 3 900p medium settings, not too bad, and I was really hoping to do 1080 with this. If we take that TDP up, we can get on up there, but this is one of those games that does take a little bit, and we still see a few stutters here and there, especially on these APUs. And the final one I wanted to test for this video was Doom: The Dark Ages. Without frame gen, you do have to take this down to low settings, and I actually haven't tested frame gen in a while on this game. I know we had some updates, but when it originally launched, frame gen was all messed up with these APUs, so that's something I'll need to go back to. But even at 720p low settings here, we're still under that 60 mark. Next thing I wanted to do is test some low TDP indie gaming, and I'm actually at a 7-watt TDP, so we've got a custom 7-watt, no CPU boost, and I've got both screens on right now. So if you disable this other screen, you should be able to save a little bit, and with the built-in performance monitor on that second screen, it will tell you how much is being drawn from the battery, but I've got hardware info up and running with MSI Afterburner. It's going to show us how much is being drawn from that battery, and that's everything going on with the system. The screen, CPU, even the sound and the fan. Looks like with this game, we're drawing around 9 watts. And I've got the refresh rate set to 60 hertz. That's definitely important. So after a little bit of battery life testing here, remember we've got that 45-watt battery, top screen only set to 60 hertz from the settings, 50% screen brightness, 7 watts. This is pulling around 8.9 watts. That's going to give us around 5 hours with indie gaming at 7 watts. 15-watt gaming does jump up to a 26-watt total draw, around an hour and 40 minutes. And at 28 watts, this is a little under 44, giving us around 1 hour of runtime out of it at that extreme preset. So overall, for a dual screen handheld, I mean, this thing is packing some serious performance. I think that AYANEO did add a lot of great tech here. Would be nice to have a much larger battery in something like this, but then we'd have a bigger footprint. It'd be thicker or just wider. They really had to kind of compromise on that to keep this form factor down. Personally, I do like the layout here and feel of the buttons. These medium-sized TMR sticks are working out really well, but having a bigger battery would be really awesome for something like this. Either way, I'm going to mess around with this for the next few days, and I'll have a full review video coming up, so keep an eye on the channel. If there's anything you want to see running on this unit in that video, just let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn a little more, I'll leave links to their Indiegogo in the description. That's it for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.